You're watching The 7 from WATE 6 on your side.
Good evening, I'm Bo Williams, and welcome to The 7. Glad you're with us tonight. Before we get to our Big 7 list, though, we want to turn things over to meteorologist Michael Ottavino for a look at everything we need to know about our falling temperatures tonight. Michael, I know it's going to feel more like, I don't know, late November than it is late October. And we're talking some chilly temperatures overnight, that's for sure.
Yes, exactly. Certainly going to be a chilly night for all locations across East Tennessee. Expecting to see temperatures fall into the 20s as well as into the 30s. So just keep that in mind that for tomorrow morning, you need the heavier jacket on your way out the door. Right now, again, we're seeing clear conditions. It's a little cool across East Tennessee. Loud look outside. Beautiful sunset right now into downtown Knoxville. Continuing to see, again, clear skies. That means temperatures will rapidly fall once we get into the rest of this evening as well as overnight. We're already into those upper 50s for Knoxville, lower 50s already for the plateau, upper 50s and lower 60s for areas to the south. The freeze warning goes into effect for tonight, which means temperatures will be at or below the freezing point, which pretty much will end the growing season for East Tennessee. Quick tips on how to protect the plants. Use a bed sheet or a drop cloth, and just remember a plastic can burn the foliage. I'll let you know how cold it's going to get in your neighborhood. That's coming up.
We'll be ready, Michael. We'll check back with Michael coming up here in a little bit. Now let's get a look at the Big 7 stories right now. And topping the list for us tonight, the Vols' historic win against Alabama this past weekend. The curse is broken. Tennessee snapped a losing streak against Alabama, defeating the Crimson Tide for the first time in 15 years. And, well, the win also continues UT's undefeated run this season, putting the team now back in the national spotlight. Now, many are comparing this season so far to the 1998 campaign. The voice of the Vols, Bob Kessling, has been calling games for more than 20 years, and Tennessee has only beaten Alabama just a handful of times since Kessling has been in the business, starting out as a sports reporter.
Back in 1982, Tennessee hadn't beaten Alabama in 11 years, and Coach Majors had taken over in 77 and hadn't beaten Bear Bryant in Alabama. Suddenly in 82, Tennessee comes up, knocks off Bear, Coach Majors' first win, and that kind of propelled the program going forward.
That year, they tore down the goalposts and rushed the field. It was a similar scene in 98 when UT also beat Florida on a last-second field goal. And then again on Saturday, of course, against Alabama. But Kessling said no game compares to this one.
Seen a better football game than this, let alone call one or work one.
Yeah, there are still some big games ahead, but until then, Vol fans are going to relish this one for a little while, that is for sure. All right, next on the 7, a fundraiser was posted Sunday to replace the goalposts in Neyland Stadium, and they have already surpassed that goal. At last check, fans had donated just over $150,000, which is more than the overall goal. But the goalposts will cost between $10,000 to $20,000. So where will the rest of the money go? Well, UT says the rest of the money will be spent on goalpost installation, as well as other needed repairs like the turf. And I'm sure by now we've all seen those photos of people tearing up the grass. If there's any money left over, those funds will be given to UT's other varsity athletic programs. And that brings us to our next question. Will the goalposts be ready by this weekend when they take on UT Martin? Well, the school says yes, mainly because UT has had spare goalposts waiting in storage ever since that iconic win against Florida back in 1998. That said, UT Martin Chancellor Keith Carver joked on Twitter saying, quote, if you don't get those goalposts replaced in time, we'll be happy to move next week's game to UT Martin. It's the least we can do, end quote. All right, continuing our Big 7 coverage for you right now. Tennessee head coach Josh Heupel spoke to reporters today following the Vols' historic win over Bama on Saturday. He also addressed the situation surrounding senior Jalen McCullough, who did not play following his arrest last week. As you likely recall, McCullough was arrested and charged with aggravated assault on October 9th in the Fort Sanders neighborhood. Coach Heupel says McCullough is not suspended. Now, he went on to say, quote, he's been around, just wasn't available for Saturday. The process is still going on with him, and we'll see how that continues to play out here. We look forward to having him available soon, end quote. A preliminary hearing has been set for Friday, November 18th. Court records currently show. Well, today we also learned how many people were taken into custody at Saturday's Tennessee-Alabama game. A University of Tennessee police spokesperson tells us 9 people were arrested, 77 were ejected from the game. For comparison, we're told 6 people were arrested, 13 ejected at the Akron game. Next on the Big 7 at 7 for you, we now have an update to a deadly shooting at an Alcoa Highway Nightclub early Sunday morning. Knoxville Police have now released the name of the person who was killed. KPD says the person who died was Pablo Acosta. Now, we're told the 32-year-old was from Louisville. He was pronounced dead at the scene. Police say as of this afternoon, another person that was shot remains hospitalized in critical condition. Police add a third person who was dropped off at the hospital has already been released. Investigators say they believe the shooting stemmed from some sort of altercation that began inside the business and then spilled out into the parking lot. At the time, KPD told us some witnesses were brought in for questioning, but no arrests have been made at this time. Now, if you know anything, maybe you saw something that sparked this, you're asked to call the East Tennessee Valley Crime Stoppers. Their number is 865-215-7165. Another way you can reach out is simply by dialing **tips. Next on our list for you, the Knoxville Police Department arrested one person Friday after a traffic stop led to the discovery of 21 grams of heroin. According to KPD, officers pulled over a car for a non-functioning brake light. However, during the traffic stop, officers found 21 grams of heroin as well as a loaded firearm in the vehicle. Now, police say the man arrested is a felon who has been convicted several times in the past. And rounding out the Big 7 for us today, a status hearing in federal court ended with a judge setting a trial date for Jose Padilla. Now, you may remember, Padilla is a Cleveland man arrested and accused of participating in the January 6th insurrection. The Justice Department is accusing him of throwing a flagpole at officers trying to protect the building. Well, he now faces several charges, including assault on a law enforcement officer with a dangerous weapon and obstruction of law enforcement during a civil disorder. His trial is scheduled to begin on May 1st of next year. Padilla's attorneys indicated that they plan to file a motion challenging one of the charges against him, but would not specify which charge that was. Padilla remains in federal custody. Of course, we will keep you posted as we learn more.